This
ahead
conference will now be recorded.
make that available to everyone later via our YouTube channel, so you can get that. An email with today's handouts, a link to the recordings, and an evaluation form will be mailed out later in the week. So before we get started, I'd like to thank today's sponsors: Bayada Healthcare, Quantum Rehab, Maxim Healthcare, Ability Center, Permobile Foundation, New Motion Foundation, and United Access. We really appreciate all of their support and what they provide to families in the community, as well as how they help our chapter take care of our business each day. So let's go ahead and get started. I have the honor of introducing you to our presenter, Mark Arnold. Mark is the computer geek to English translator, and I can attest to this because he's helped me multiple days this week already. As a former Microsoft certified systems engineer and a former special ed teacher, Mark combines his unique background in computers and education to help his clients navigate through the maze of today's technology in a style that is simple and easy to understand. All right, Mark, we're all ears. You can take over.
All right, thanks, Amy. So thank you all for being here. A couple things to note as we get started. One is that today's presentation is not meant to be a step-by-step guide on how to set up all the technology that I'm going to talk about, because that would take way too long. This is meant to be the 40,000-foot view of what is possible. I'm going to focus primarily on things you can get on Amazon. And there's no need to take notes because, as Amy was saying, we're going to send you a summary of all this technology to the email you provided when you registered. And again, if you have questions, you can place them in the chat, and we will leave plenty of time at the end and answer as many as we can. So, in general, the initial symptoms of ALS seem to split into two categories: the loss of the ability to control the extremities and the loss of the ability to speak. So today we're going to start here with the loss of the ability to control the extremities. But, and this is really important, if you are in the group that has lost the ability to speak, stay with me, because towards the end, I'm going to show you how to use all the following technology without the ability to speak. So I'm going to tell you a story. This is Dorothy. Dorothy has limited use of her extremities. She's just gotten up for the day, and her husband is in the kitchen making them breakfast. She goes into the living room to watch TV. So here's the first challenge. How does she turn on the TV? Well, she says aloud, "Alexa, turn on the TV." And the TV turns on. And this is possible because Dorothy has an Amazon Echo Dot that is connected to a universal remote control that can turn on her TV. Great. Now let me pause for just a second to remind you that you don't need to take notes on this. We'll give you a summary. Just stay with me with the story. So Dorothy is watching her TV when, ding dong, the doorbell rings. Well, her husband is busy in the kitchen with breakfast. So here's the next challenge. Dorothy has to figure out who is at the door. So she says aloud, "Alexa, show me the front door." And a video picture of who is at the front door appears on her TV. And this is possible because that Echo Dot that we already talked about is also connected to a Ring video doorbell and her smart TV. Hey, look, it's her next door neighbor, Nancy, coming over to visit. So here's the next challenge. The door is locked. So Dorothy says, "Alexa, unlock the front door." And that Echo Dot we've been talking about connects to the Kevo smart lock that's on the front door and unlocks it. And Nancy can let herself in. Great. They're having a lovely time. when Nancy asks, "Is it warm in here?" And they decide that it is. So Dorothy says, "Alexa, turn the AC down 2 degrees." And that same Echo Dot connects to her smart thermostat and it lowers the temperature. Okay, so time out for just a second. We went a little bit down a rabbit hole, but you're probably starting to see a pattern here. This story is to illustrate what is possible. Let's go back to the beginning and take some baby steps. So it all starts here with the Echo Dot. If you're going to take one thing away from today, you need to get this. And just this by itself will do the following. It can tell you the news. NPR, CNN, Fox, you can set up whatever news source you want, whatever flavor you want, it will tell you the news. It can answer just about any question you could type into a Google search. What time does the nearest Walgreens close? How do you say good morning in Japanese? Is it going to rain today? It's great for entertainment. It will play your favorite music. You can listen to an audiobook. It will even tell you jokes by Jimmy Fallon. You can say, "Alexa, tell me a joke by Jimmy Fallon," and Jimmy Fallon will come on and tell you a joke. It's great for alarms and reminders. A general alarm, like an alarm clock in the morning, or something as specific as, "Dorothy, it's 2 o'clock, take your medication." It's good for lists. You can say to Alexa, "Add eggs to the grocery list, add bacon to the grocery list." And your caregiver can see that list on their phone when they're at the store. But this is why I believe everyone should have one of these. Making calls and allowing drop-ins. So let's go back to Dorothy. Dorothy is in the living room and her husband is still in the kitchen. And she needs to tell him something. So she says, "Alexa, drop in on the kitchen." And the Echo Dot that is in the living room connects to the Echo Dot in the kitchen. Basically, they're on speakerphone with each other. Now you can have as many of these Echo Dots as you want. So you can put one in the bedroom and the office, etc., and be able to communicate all throughout the house. But wait, there's more. This is the kicker. This is the biggest reason why I think everybody needs to have this. If her husband is not at home, Dorothy can say, "Alexa, call Steve." And the Echo Dot will dial Steve's cell phone. So Dorothy can always reach her husband or anybody else she wants to call. Now, let's change gears for just a minute. All this is based on voice commands. I promised at the beginning that I would show you a way for someone who can't speak clearly to utilize these things. I think if we could mute for just a second. Thank you. So as I was saying, I promised at the beginning I would show you a way for someone who can't speak clearly to utilize these things. So in a moment, I'm going to showcase an application called Let Me Talk. Let Me Talk is a communications app where essentially you press the screen and it talks for you. And it lets you program custom sub-menus and you can build complicated sentences. Okay, so that might not be exciting to you, just that by itself. We've seen augmentative communication devices before probably, and they can be really expensive. Well, this one is available for the iPad and the Android tablet, and It's free. All you have to do is download it from the Apple or Google Play Store. Now that, all by itself, is really cool. But I'm going to show you a little video of me actually using it. Give me just a second. I have to change some audio settings so that you'll be able to hear it. So I'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Mark. I use this device to communicate with my loved ones and my smart home devices. Alexa, turn on the TV. Alexa, show me the front door.
Okay.
Alexa, play music by the Beatles.
Shuffling songs by the Beatles on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop.
Okay, so that was me using Let Me Talk to control my smart devices. So one last thing before we get to questions and such. You might be saying to yourself, you know, all this is very nice, but what if I've lost the ability to speak clearly and it's getting harder and harder for me to control my hands well enough to tap on a screen? What about me? Well, if you layer in an application like the Eva facial mouse, you can do this. Just a second, I have to change my audio settings again. Oops, like that.
Alexa, play music by the Beatles.
Shuffling songs by the Beatles on Amazon Music.
Alexa, stop.
Okay, now that wasn't eye gaze controlled, that was subtle head movement controlled. And that application is also free for the Android tablet. And just in case you don't already have an Android tablet, you can get one off of Amazon for under $100. Now, if you feel like you just drank from the fire hose, that's okay. Okay, deep breath. This was the 40,000-foot view of what's available. We will send you an email summary of all this technology. Let me pause for just a second. There's two major ways you can present information. There's informational and there's educational. This was meant to be informational. You don't have to remember it all. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to decide if you want to learn more about these things. And then there's the educational presentation style. And here comes the shameless plug. That's what I really do. Amy mentioned that I used to be a special ed teacher. When I come to your home, I will teach you at your pace according to your learning style and your current level of understanding. So my contact information is on the screen, but this is not meant to be a commercial about me. You don't need me for any of this. If you have a teenager in your life, they can set all this up for you. And again, we will be sending you a list of the technology that was showcased with links so you can get the things on Amazon and what to download for your tablet, etc. But if you do need someone to set these things up for you, this is what I do. So thank you very much for your time, and we will now answer as many questions as we can.
All
And
right.
I'm going to stop my screen sharing there so we can see everybody.
So I got, thank you, Mark. I've got a couple of questions in the chat box. So we're going to go through those. We have time. Please, if you're able, type them in the chat box. I understand not everyone is able to type. So if you're not able to type, that's perfectly fine. We can take questions verbally as well, but I'm going to get through these in the chat box first, and then we'll start to unmute everyone just to try to minimize the background noise. So Betty Ann says, we can tell Alexa to dial a specific person without touching the phone, just using the voice. But we would like to use the voice with Alexa to answer the phone through the home system because we have visual and tactile issues.
Okay, let me think about that for just a second. Phone. You know what? I'm going to have to research as to whether or not there's a way to do that. So thank you very much for your question. I will figure that out and find that out for you and get back with you. As a matter of fact, if you could give me a call later today or when you get the email that has all the information and such, it'll have my number on it. If you'll call me to remind me, because my brain is kind of scattered right now with everything with this presentation and such. If you'll call me, I'll have figured it out and we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I have her name and this question written down. So once again,
Awesome.
I can provide you with the question and her contact information, and you guys can do that. Or I'm happy to give Betty Ann your contact info. If you want to type your phone number or email in the chat box, Mark, so that
Sure.
people have it there if they want it, that'd be great. Next question: can the Echo Dot be hacked?
Can the Echo Dot be hacked? Thank you for the question. There is let me type in my phone number here real quick as I'm in the middle of it. There is a continuum, a spectrum that everybody falls on where we say we don't need to worry about security at all to Kim Jong-un in North Korea can read our thoughts, we need to wear tinfoil hats. And I'm only kind of making a joke. That really is the range, okay? So where everybody falls is where everybody falls on that. And is it possible that your Amazon Echo could be hacked? Yes, it's possible. And someone who has that skill set is looking for bigger fish. Someone who has that skill set is hacking into Microsoft or Apple. They're not sitting in a van outside your house so that they can reach your internet signal so that they can hack into your Alexa. And I don't mean to make light of it. It really is a valid question, but that really is what would have to happen. Someone would have to be in a van and on your internet signal to be able to even begin to do things like that. I hope that answered the question okay.
Okay. As I said, if you have more questions, please keep putting them in there. Mark, can you help me select and set up these devices to coordinate with other tech I may have?
Yes. It helps to keep things in the family. So like if you have a lot of Google Google devices, to make everything be Google. If you have a lot of Apple devices and you're used to saying, "Hey Siri" for everything, it helps to kind of use that family. But yes, I can set up all those things for you.
Okay. John Bailey says, with the use of hands and arms, I use Speech Assistant, an app for a one-time cost of $12, translates typed words into either speech or large font. Yes, Mark mentioned in your presentation, you mentioned, what's the speech app that you talked about, the text-to-speech app?
It's called Let Me Talk.
Okay, yeah,
And
so
it's a picture-based.
Right. Perfect. We also have, the association has a list from one of the SLPs at clinics of a bunch of different apps for Androids and for Apple products as well. So we have a lot of apps. Some of them they run, some of them are free, and then they run all the way up to $150. And so it just depends on, or even more. And there are new speech, text-to-speech apps coming out almost weekly. With the way technology is progressing at this point. So the one that Mark talked about, you're certainly welcome to use. If you would like a list of other ones, let me know. And I'm happy, any of our staff is happy to give you a list of options. The cost amount just really changes your ability to pick different voices. If you pay for one, you might be able to pick different accents, and I could have a British accent or whatever, or you can, so there's a much larger bank of accents and voices that you can speak from. It allows you to bank more of your commonly used phrases so that they're ready to go. It's a lot of energy to type the same things over and over of, my name is Amy Frank. And so the different apps, that's one thing that you're going to want to look for in an app, is the ability to save those messages. But there's a lot of them out there that are very good. So we just encourage everyone to have access to those. Go ahead, Mark.
I'll add to that. On the Let Me Talk, you can have individual words, but you can also have one picture button that says a phrase. So like in that video, some of those phrases, I did press every single button. I pressed the button that said, Alexa, turn on the TV. Alexa, show me the front door. I didn't have to type every single one.
Right. Perfect. Okay, so thank you, John. John Gilmer asks, how do Google at Home devices compare?
They're very similar. My thought on who's going to win the game, because there's the Amazon devices, there's the Google devices, and there's the Apple devices. Whatever device you're going to get, you're going to go on Amazon to buy it. So they kind of have this natural advantage, and they happen to have more things out right now. But if you have Google already, stick with that, and we can work with that.
Okay. Mark, I live in Tucson. Are you available to come to Tucson?
I'm just in the Phoenix metropolitan area. If you want to call, if you've got a big project, if you want to call me, like you want to do the whole full home automation and Ring cameras and doorbells, and we'll make a day of it, give me a call. We'll work something out.
Okay. And then I see Mark's question, or Mark typed his phone number into the chat box there. One of the things that I want to make sure that we point out and consider is, especially if you have communication issues, please be sure that you're doing some thinking around emergency calls. That's one of the biggest things that we have, the challenges that we run into. And so, a lot of people will say, I've always got my phone next to me if you're being left home alone. But we need to make sure that there's a way for you to communicate in some form or fashion to make emergency calls, or to get in contact with people if you are not, don't have someone with you all the time. So technology is one of the wonderful things that can help with all of that. And if you don't have a system that you're confident and comfortable with for an emergency type situation, then please reach out to one of the care service coordinators here at the chapter, and we'll be happy to help talk through various ways to make sure that you've got some sort of emergency communication if communication is a concern. We have another question. Can you recommend a counterpart of yours who lives in the Tucson area? Good question.
That is a good question. I actually honestly don't know anybody, but I do have some resources I can find out for you. So again, if you call me later and say, hey, we really just need somebody who really just does live in Tucson, so that that person can, you know, come and go whenever we need them, we'll find you somebody.
Okay, so I'm going to add that specific question to a list of follow-up questions,
Okay.
so that we will get back and do some follow-up with, because we've got several people on here who are from Southern Arizona. Actually, I'm seeing a lot of people from Southern Arizona and from the non-Phoenix areas.
Okay.
So some of the outlying areas. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Does anybody have other questions? I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody for a second. If you don't have questions, please mute yourself, just so that we don't have feedback. But I want to make sure that there's an opportunity if there are any questions that need to be asked. Okay. It looks like that we're good. I've gotten through the questions in the chat box, and it seems like we don't have any other questions going on. So Mark, we just want to say thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. It's very helpful for me as well. The technology is difficult for me on a good day. So even to comprehend the things that are possible, much less how do I do it and how do I set it up. And I'm sure that moving forward that we'll continue to have a relationship with Mark so that we can call on him to ask questions and help sort out the technology stuff, because it comes up all the time. So thank you, Mark, for that. Once again, for everybody who's on here, the handout that Mark discussed with the products will be sent out. Mark's contact information and a link to view the recordings, as well as an evaluation. All of those things are going to be sent out to all of the participants next week. So you should be getting another email. And then coming up next, we have two options. Doreen Case, Mark, do you want to share your screen and pop those two slides up?
I'm sorry, I actually don't have those two screens. I didn't realize I was going to show the next two. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't have them either. That's my fault. Well, coming up next, we have two presentations. Two sort of presentations. Doreen Case is a Medicare specialist that we work with. And she helps people look at all of your options, look at where your care is going, what prescriptions you need, what sort of procedures. She understands ALS. So she helps people select what type of Medicare plan would be the best option for you. So her job is not to tell you which plan to pick. Her job is to lay out what it would look like if you were on each individual plan. So she is definitely the guru of who we go to for Medicare and insurance type questions. If you need her assistance, she's not going to do an actual presentation. She has made herself available for between 12 and 1 for individual consultations, because that's such an individualized thing. So if you, and I'm going to pull up her contact information for you guys as soon as I can find it. But if you have questions about about Medicare, this is the time that you would be able to call Doreen and check in with her. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask and I don't do that well. But let me get so that I can pull up those slides, because that just makes it easier. Because then you guys will be able to see it. I apologize.
Amy, can I ask a question?
Yes, please do. In the meantime, that would be lovely.
Is this the same lady who spoke at the ALS 101? Okay, I just want to say one thing. I did call her and talk to her, and she said, while it's great to connect with her now, the new formularies for all the insurance won't be out until October. So she can't give specific drug or specific coverage for a particular drug for a particular insurance. So I just want everybody to understand that for next year, we need to wait until October.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out because that's a very good, important thing to notice. And yeah, because it changes every year, you know, October, I think open enrollment is October and November timeframe. So she spends a lot of very busy time then, but that's an important thing to note. So thank you for adding that in for us.
But touching base with her now is great.
Yeah,
I
certainly.
can highly recommend it.
Okay, good. So she was helpful at least now. She just can't give you the exact amount of your drugs and things. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Okay, perfect. So yes, and I think it would be wonderful, as I said, if you have questions, she's available during this hour. She's made herself available, so I would absolutely reach out to her. And then the other session that we have coming up, we're going to be joined by Ann Ross, and she's going to go over oral care. It's more than a mouthful. And she is the owner of Mobile Dentistry of Arizona. And so she's going to be joining us to talk about oral care and its importance for people with ALS and people who have challenges with mobility as well as maintaining their hygiene on their own, so who need assistance with that. Okay, so I think that's it. Please be sure to visit your confirmation text that you received because that will be a different link. There is a different link for every session, so please make sure that you look at your confirmation to get the link for the session for Ann coming up. I hear there's a question for what's for lunch and where are the bathrooms. Thank you, Chuck and Wendy. That is a very important thing to cover at a conference always. So yeah, make sure you orient yourself with your space. We're gonna take a few minutes here. John Gilmer added in, you may get prescription savings at Drexi.com. It saves him money for real use all. So Drexi, DREXI.com. So if that's something that is important to you and you need to look up various types of savings for prescription meds, that's a wonderful resource. So thank you, John. Any other last comments, questions, concerns? Okay. Did I hear something? Okay. Thank you for joining us, Mark. Thank all of you for joining us, and we'll sign off, and then I will see everybody for the next session. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Ann, thank you for coming to my session. I think she just signed off.
Yeah, I think so too. So see you later, Mark. Thank you for your help.
You're very welcome. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.